Well, hello everyone. My name is Erica Hunter. Thank you for attending today's digital navigation class on behalf of Mission Africa. Today we are going to go over Google Documents. And you all who are attending class probably already know, but for those of you who will be watching this recording later, I am the wife of Eric Hunter, who is the instructor that you're used to seeing. And maybe you have seen me in the past in other classes, but I am subbing tonight because my daughter has a recital this weekend, and he's actually doing a daddy-daughter dance with her, and they had a practice tonight. So I am honored to be here tonight to talk about Google Documents. So with that, I am going to share my screen, and what you are about to see is, okay, there it is. So this is actually my personal Gmail account. So what you are looking at is my Gmail account. And so what is Google Docs? Google Docs is short for Google Documents, and it is a document sheet that you can use like Microsoft Word. Google has its own, it's called Google Suite. You might hear it called the G Suite or the Google Suite. It's just like Microsoft Office, but one of the benefits of it is that it is free. So a lot of people love using Google Suite. You've probably have been through one of our Google Sheets class, which is like Excel, and Google Slides class, which is like PowerPoint. And so today we are going to talk about Google Documents, which is just like Microsoft Word. And the cool thing about Google Documents is that you can interact with people that are using Microsoft Word as well, because Google Documents allows you to convert the document that you're using into and send it as a Word document if you need to. And you can also send the document as a PDF. So feel free to interrupt if you have any questions. We have a small class today, and we're just going to go into using a Google document. And so, like I said, here, probably got really personal here, but this is I didn't mind sharing it, but this is my actual Gmail account. And so for you to look at a Google document or use Google Documents or Google Docs, you must have a Gmail account. And if you've been in digital navigation for some time, I'm sure you do have an account. But if you don't, you must register for a Google account so that you can get Google Mail. And then when you get a Google account, you're going to go over. So the screen that I'm sharing, if you go to the top right-hand side, you will see my account. So there's my profile picture. And then you're going to go over here to the 9 dots, or what is also affectionately known as the hamburger. And this is where you're going to see the suite of Google applications that are available for you to use once you have an account. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to scroll down. As you can see, look, here I can access my account. Here I can do a Google search, I can go to Google Maps, I can go to YouTube. This is basically all of the apps that Google owns. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down until I hit Docs. And then with my mouse, I'm going to right click and I am going to open up a Google document. Okay. And then before I move on, I just want to make sure, because I am assuming, and Zoom is telling me, but if somebody can tell me, can you guys see my screen right now, hopefully what you see is a landing page with a bunch of Google document templates. Is that what you see? You can unmute and let me know, or you can give me a thumbs up in chat.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Margaret. Okay, so what you are looking at right now is a template gallery. And so here we've got a drop-down menu of the many templates that you can use. This is what's so great about Google Documents is you don't have to start a document from scratch if you need help creating something, especially if you want a little bit of creativity. So for instance, if you need to put a contract together, you can click on independent contract agreement, which is the one that we're going to look at today. If you need to build a resume, you can click on resume and you can fill in the blank and prepare your own resume. We also in the past have given a resume class. And so if you weren't able to attend that, you can go to Mission Africa's YouTube channel to take a look at our resume class. And then there's another type of resume here. A good old-fashioned letter, if you need to write a letter to someone, a project proposal, a brochure. And so then there's also categories. And so we've got resumes, letters, just personal stuff. Like here you've got a recipe, if you want to create a recipe, a pet resume, that's interesting. There's a category for work, and there's a bunch of brochures and newsletters, a non-disclosure agreement, which is also for work, sales, legal, human resources, the freelancer agreement. And the reason why we chose the freelancer agreement is because we know that in the African community, there are a lot of nonprofit organizations, leaders of nonprofit organizations, and leaders of businesses. So we are going to use the independent contractor agreement to just go into how you can create a contract with someone. And then we've got education, essays, reports. So lots of templates for children to use. I know my daughter in her school, they actually use Google Documents and Google Slides to show children, to introduce children into how to use these types of forms over Microsoft Word. Because one of the biggest benefits is that Microsoft Word, you need a license for it. And so the schools don't have to deal with licensing agreements, but Google Documents, Google Suites is free to the world. And so that's what's really awesome about it. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to access the independent contractor agreement. So I'm going to open that up. And then so what you see here, this is my work area. And so for those of you, so right here, you just saw an add-on pop up. I'm going to close that out. But if you needed an electronic signature, you could purchase DocuSign, which is an e-signature system that it's an add-on that can be purchased. But we are not going to get into e-signatures in this class, but we can talk about that after this recording if anybody is interested in electronic signatures. Okay, so I'm going to X that out. So here we have it. This is our independent contractor agreement. And just like Microsoft Word, we have a drop-down menu of choices. Okay, and then down below our drop-down menu of choices, what we're mainly going to be working out of is this area up here all the way across that's highlighted in blue, this is called your ribbon. Okay, so if you ever hear that word, you know, the ribbon, this is where you go in to access all of the tools that you need to manipulate your document. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to manipulate this document to make it look like how I want it to look like, and then to also educate you on how you do that. Now, the great thing about Google Documents is we've got an informational page. And so this is instructions. And so most of them start with this page. And so for this one, it basically is just saying overview. An independent contractor agreement is a written contract between two parties for a specific service or project. One person or company is engaging another to help on a short-term task. Okay, and then they want to let you know, delete this first page of instructions before using the template, because obviously this is a template. Okay, fields marked as, so this underline here with the quotations are placeholders for your information. And so that's what we're going to learn today is how do we manipulate placeholders. And then number 3, it says, this template is provided as is. Please consult your own legal counsel before use. Obviously, contracts are legally binding agreements. And so sometimes we do need legal advice or assistance when putting a contract together. And then there's a disclaimer. The creator and provider of this document does not assume any responsibility or any consequences for this document. This document has been prepared for informational purposes only and is not intended to constitute legal advice, create an attorney-client relationship, be advertising or solicitation of any type. And then it continues going. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically this is Google putting their disclaimer in because we're looking at what can become a contract, right? And then they're just reminding you, please remove this page before using, okay? And so what we're going to do now, and what I can do is I can highlight everything here, okay, and delete. And now it's all deleted. So I highlighted all that information with the left click of my mouse. And then I just hit the delete button and got rid of all that information. So now everything in page 2 has moved up to page 1. And so now what I'm doing is I'm hitting the delete button and I am moving my document so that it looks better, because obviously you want to start all of your documents in a good spot at the top of the page. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I have a personal preference to have this independent contractor agreement underlined. I want it in bold and I want it centered and I want it to be bigger. And so that's what we're going to get into now. And we're going to access all those functions right above the page here in the ribbon. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is with the left click of my mouse, I am going to highlight and then let go of the left click of my mouse. And now I have independent contractor agreement highlighted. I want it centered on my page. So I am going to go to my ribbon here. And if you take your mouse and you highlight all of the different options that you have on your ribbon, as you go to the right, you're going to get to an option called align and indent. With the left click of my mouse, I'm going to click that I want it centered, okay? Anytime you take your cursor, the cursor of your mouse, without clicking on it, so we're not right clicking and we're not left clicking, and you just put your cursor, you see how it was an arrow, but it's turned into a hand. When I hover with that pointy finger there, that hand, it's telling me, okay, left align. Left align is how I have this already, the independent contractor agreement. It's left aligned, center aligned, right aligned, or justify. I am going to center align it because it's just a personal preference. So this isn't something that you have to do. This is just for me to show you how you can manipulate lines in a sentence or in a document that you type up. So I'm going to hit center and boom. Now you can see that everything moved over to center alignment. Next, I want it in bold. It's actually already in bold, but I'm going to show you how you take a document that's got your typed letters in it and how you make something, how you unbolden something if you don't want it bold, and how you make something in bold letters if you want your letters to be in bold. So that B, that is going to be your bold command.
I have a
Yes.
question.
Mm-hmm.
Can you please go back to where you had put the arrow? I need to see because it was too small. Now I've made it bigger. I want to see where you put the arrow so that you can put it in the center.
Yes, absolutely, Margaret. Okay, so can you see where I'm hovering over the B right now?
Yes.
Okay, so right now my mouse is hovering over the B in the ribbon.
Yes.
I'm going to move to the left.
Mm-hmm.
And then right here where you see these lines with
Yes.
that triangle that's pointing down,
Mm-hmm.
this is called the align command.
Okay.
Okay, and so when I click on it, I've got left align, center align, right align, and justify. So I'm going to, just so that you can see it move again, I'm going to move it back to the left.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then just because of my personal preference, I'm going to take it and I'm going to move it back to the center. Okay, so there you have it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's what I wanted to see.
Yeah,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome. You're welcome. And then right now it's bold, but I'm going to show you what happens if I take the bold off. So I'm going to hover back over the ribbon. I'm going to click on the B. And as you can see, independent contractor agreement is no longer in bold. There's no right or wrong way. All of this is just design. It's personal preference. It's how you want your document to look. But I want it to be bold because this is what the document is, right? And so I'm going to click on that B, and now I just made it bold again, okay? The other thing that I want to do is show you how you can underline words. And so I'm going to highlight independent contractor agreement again. And in the same area where I use the bold, and let me go over some of these while I'm here, okay? To the left of the B, you've got your font size. This will increase or decrease your letters, which we're gonna do in a minute, okay? To the right of the B, the I, that is going to italicize your letters. So if you wanna write in italics, then it just changes it, italicizes it, okay? So
what is that? What is that italic? The slide or?
yeah, so I'm going to show you. So I'm going to hit it again. So if you watch independent contractor agreement and did you see how it kind of changed a little bit? It was a really slight change. Let me remove the bold and see if you can see it better if I remove the bold. Okay, so I remove the bold. Do you see how the words are more straightened out?
Yes.
Italics give your words a slant.
Oh, okay.
You
Okay.
see how it slanted it?
Yes, slightly.
Yeah. So in common English, mainly in writing, a lot of people only use italics if they are quoting the title of a book
Mhm,
or the title of a movie,
mhm.
and they're putting those book titles and those movie titles in quotations. Sometimes people want their writing to stand out a little bit, and maybe they'll put a little slant in there just to make it look fancy.
Mhm, I
But
got
if you,
it.
yeah, so if you ever want to use it, it's there for you. And so I'm going to click it again, and now I've just straightened my letters back out.
Mhm,
And so, but I do want to underline this. Oh, I'm going to make it bold again.
mhm.
I want to underline it just so that it stands out in the title. So I'm going to click on the U, and then there you have it. So now
Wow.
independent contractor agreement is underlined and it's bold.
Wow.
What if I wanted to keep it underlined, but take out the bold? This is what it would look like. See that?
Mhm.
But I like it bold. So I'm going to put the bold back.
Okay.
Now, let's say you have a color printer and you want certain words to stand out in color.
Mhm.
I can actually highlight these letters and go to so next to the U with the underline, now I'm going to go to the right a little bit, the A with that big fat line under it, that's text color. And now I can actually change the color. There you have
Wow.
it, pink.
Wow.
If I wanted to even, like, let's say I wanted to make it a rainbow, I can highlight the actual word that I want. Now I've made that one yellow, and then agreement, let's make that one blue.
Wow.
There you have it, independent contractor agreement.
That's
Obviously,
interesting.
you would never do this with a contractor agreement, but I just want to show you all,
Yes.
you know, all of the choices that you have when you are creating a document. So you can have a lot of fun with these, especially, let's say, if children are writing and they want to have a little bit of fun, you can change the colors around. Okay, and then the last thing I want to show you is, as far as the title is concerned, I want to make this title stand out a little bit more. So I'm going to make it bigger. And so to the left of the B here in bold, I'm going to, right now, the font size. So that font is the writing. Font size is what size it is. So anytime you see the word font, that just means the typed word, because you can change your fonts, okay? And so the font size, I'm going to increase it. So I'm going to take it to 16. Boom. Nice
Wow.
and big, okay? And so now we've got a really big independent contractor agreement here. All right. And so I don't like, however, how close it is to the top of my page. So I'm just going to bring it down just a little bit by hitting the return button. And I'm going to bring it down one more time.
Which button?
The return button.
Which one is it?
So Oh, I'm using a Mac. On a Mac, it's return. On a PC, it's enter.
Okay.
Okay. If you ever want to move information down,
Mm-hmm.
if you start at the beginning of a line
Mm-hmm.
and you hit return, it will just move your document down. You see that?
Where is the return button?
Enter.
Oh, okay, 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 got it.
I said return because I'm using a PC.
Okay.
And I'm using a MacBook. I'm using an Apple computer, but
Okay.
you're probably on a PC, so it's the enter button. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you're going to play around with words, right? With letters. You're going to shift things up and down a page. To move it down, you're going to put the cursor at the beginning of the sentence,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're going to hit enter. I could do that all day long. You see how it just keeps moving it down?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But to put it back, I'm going to hit the delete button.
Oh.
So this is, I'm hitting the delete button and I'm putting it back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, what if I accidentally typed an X here? And I said, and I'm like, uh-oh, why is that there? I messed up. There's a couple of things that I could do to erase that X, because we don't want it to say Zinn dependent agreement, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can hit the delete button, which gets rid of the X,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm going to put the X back and show you the other thing that you can do. This is a great command to know. If you ever mess up on a document and you don't know how you did that or how you got there, this very nifty tool right here at the very beginning of the ribbon, that arrow that's pointed like a U, when that is the undo button. When I click that, as you can see, the X went away.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm going to move my title back to the center. And then I'm going to the beginning of the sentence in the paragraph, and I'm going to move it down by hitting the return button. Now I've got my document looking the way that I want. All right. So now let's fill in the blanks. Okay. So I'm done kind of showing you little tricks on how to mess with the words and the fonts. Now we're going to get into some advanced moves, and I'm going to show you how to fill in the blanks in some really fancy ways when you're creating a document like this. Okay, so let's say you're creating a document that you need somebody to fill out, and you want to give them the option to select a date without them having to type it in. Okay, there's a really amazing tool, okay, that we're going to use. Okay, so right now it says here, this independent contractor agreement dated blank, comma, 20 blank, the effective date, right? Well, I want to give the person who's filling this out the ability to be able to fill this out electronically. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them the ability to insert a date without even having to print this document out. So I am going to go back to the top of the page here where you've got your drop-down menus. We're going to spend some time under insert. Is everyone there?
Yes.
Perfect. So now I'm going to left click insert, and I'm going to select Smart Chips. So what are Smart Chips? Smart Chips are little bits of information that allow you to put in menus and selections for people in your document. And so the smart chip that I'm going to use is date.
Mhm.
And so with my mouse, I'm just dragging over to date, and I'm going to left click and select the date. And then in the drop down menu, I'm going to put in today's date, which is June 15th, and I'm going to select OK. So now, as you can see, do you see that? June 15th has been automatically inserted. So when I click on that, this smart chip is now permanently embedded into my document. And when the person who's receiving it hovers over, they can actually change the date. They can add the time if they want to. Isn't that cool? So this is a way that you can insert dates and times into a document. Okay, so next, so it says this independent contractor agreement dated June 15th, 2023 is made between the company and blank the freelancer. Okay, so let's say you have your nonprofit organization. Okay, we'll use Mission Africa as the example. And so now I'm going to go back to insert. Okay, but this time, instead of smart chips, I'm going to go down to drop down menu. And then I'm going to put new drop down. Okay, and as you can see, the drop down options are now highlighted, and I'm going to call this template company. And why would you need this? Let's say you're devising a contract agreement for multiple companies at once, or let's say you own more than one company, more than one business, or more than one nonprofit organization. And so I'm going to put my first option, I'm going to put Mission Africa. And then for my option number 2, I'm going to put Mother Africa. And then option number 3, I'm going to put Congolese Integration Network. And then for option number 4, I'm going to put Wings of Hope. That's an organization that is run by some friends of ours out of Kenya. All right. So these are actual organizations. Okay, so now I'm going to hit save. And so now what I've created is an actual drop-down menu, and I can select between the different options. Isn't that neat?
It is.
So I'm going to say that this agreement is made between Mission Africa and then the freelancer. So I'm going to delete the line. So I haven't mentioned that yet. So you see this line here, we need to get rid of it. So there's 2 ways of doing it. I can highlight the whole thing and then hit the delete button. Okay. Or I can put my cursor next to the line and just hit the delete button until the line disappears. But what I did is I highlighted it, and now we're going to insert another drop-down menu. And so we're going to put available freelancers that maybe these organizations work with. And so I'm going to insert, drop down, and then as you can see, any drop down that I've ever created in the past is forever going to be saved here. So the company's already there, but I've got a new drop down menu, and I'm going to call this subcontractors. These are other people that I've worked with in the past. So we'll put Eric Hunter. We'll put Margaret. And then we'll put Kina. Okay. And so now what you have is another drop-down menu with the people that you can select. Okay.
Mhm.
And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to insert an address. Okay. And so now I'm going to delete this line the other way, in the other option that I've shown you. And so with the office at, I'm hitting the space bar. Okay, back to insert. Drop down menu. New drop down. And I'm going to put I'm just going to make up some addresses. 6224 Northwest 36th Avenue. Okay. 123 St. John's Street. And 443 Discovery Avenue. Okay, and then I'm going to hit save. And now I have a drop-down menu for street addresses. Okay, and then you can continue to go down. If you have an agreed sum to be paid, you can fill that in there. You don't need a drop-down menu for that. You can just put that dollar amount there. Okay. $5,000 for the work. Maybe you need an event planner. And then it has pretty common freelance agreement language. And then it's got tips on how to e-sign. That means how to provide an electronic signature. And then we're not going to do electronic signatures in this class today. And so for the purposes of this class, this is the part of the document that we wanted to show you as far as how to manipulate information or how to get your fonts going when you start a document. So I definitely want you to practice all of this. You know, you want to go into Google Documents, start with a blank document and just go in there and practice, you know, writing a few sentences, put it in bold, take it out of bold, underline it, take the underline off, make the fonts bigger, make the fonts smaller, change the font's colors, take some time to practice that. And so then the next thing that we're going to also do is I'm going to show you how to insert a footer, because maybe you want to ensure that your page numbers are on there, which by default, there's already page numbers on here. But if you ever wanted to insert page numbers or insert, let's say, a place for people to acknowledge that they've actually read every single document, you can put in a place for them to initial. Okay, I know you guys have probably seen that. So let's look at that. And so I'm going to show you how you insert page numbers real quick. Actually, there are already page numbers on this document, but if you were creating a Google document from scratch, it's under insert. And then if you go down, you'll see where it says page number. that's where you insert page numbers, and then you just decide where you want the page numbers to go. Okay, so that's where you would insert your page numbers. And so what we're going to do now is I'm just going to show you where headers and footers are. What do you need headers and footers are? If you ever need to, if you ever wanted your top page to have the same title every single time, you could insert a header. Okay, we're not going to use headers today. And so, but we are going to use the footers. And so now I'm going to go back and I'm going to use insert footers. Okay, and as you can see, oops, I put my hand up because I'm talking with my hands. And so I need to put my hand down. Hold on one second, everybody. I've got my hand up because I talk with my hands. Okay, I lowered my hands. Oh, thank you so much for your comments, Margaret. Of course, of course. I will definitely, we have a celebration, just based off of what you're saying, Margaret, pardon the interruption, but I just want to let you all know that our last in-person class is on June 24th. Definitely come to the Mission Africa office on Saturday, June 24th, because it's the last class that we will be giving. And we're also, it's going to be a celebration of all the things that we've done over the last 6 months. So make sure you come to our class and come see us. Eric and I will both be there. We want to give everybody hugs and make sure that everybody has all their questions answered with all the digital navigation needs that you may require. We will be there that afternoon. So make sure you come to Mission Africa next Saturday, June 24th, because it will be our last class. For now, we're hoping that this program will get renewed and that Mission Africa will be selected to run it again starting in fall of 2023, but only God knows. So definitely be praying for us for that. And so back to the footer, what we're going to do is, let's say I want the party that I am, that I have this agreement with to initial it. So I'm actually going to, I'm in the footer, I highlighted it, I selected it through the insert, and I'm going to say, I'm going to just use my initials, ESV, and then I created an underline. How did I create this underline? Okay, if you look at your keyboard right now, you will see next to the 0 on your keyboard, you're going to see a key with a hyphen, okay, that looks like that when I type it. And then under that hyphen, you're going to see a smaller one. If you hold down the shift key and you press that button on your keyboard, you press it multiple times in a row, you can actually create lines for people to sign on. And I will answer your question in a moment, Margaret. And so I want to create some space for my initials. And then I'm going to pretend like Eric is also signing this. So I'm going to create space for his initials. If you've ever signed loan documents, you'll probably see something like this. And then it moved my page number over. So I'm going to use the tab button. Okay, the tab button is next to the Q on your keyboard. And I'm going to move the page number 4 over to the right. So now, on my footer, I've got a place for 2 people to initial the document and the page number. And so I'm going to click out. And as you can see, what you're going to find is it's on every page now. So headers and footers ensure that whatever information you put in the header is at the top of the page, and whatever information you put at the footer is at the bottom of the page. Okay. And then to answer your question, Margaret, our digital navigation classes on Saturdays go from 1 to 2:30. It might go a little bit longer because it's a special last class where there's going to be celebration going on at the same time. But if you show up at 1 o'clock at the Mission Africa offices on June 24th, you will find us there for that last class. Yeah. Okay. And so now what I'm going to show you all is how is your Google document saved and how do you send it to other people for them to view it, comment on it, or collaborate with you on it. And then our class will be done. And so what we're going to do now is I moved my cursor over to the top left-hand side of the page, next to the Google Docs home icon. That's what this is. Okay. It says independent contractor agreement in black, right? This is where you can name your document. Okay. So I'm ready to name this document and I'm going to call it Mission Africa Class Google Docs Sample. Okay. And then outside of the box, it says in, and then it says my drive. Okay. And so what that means is this document is being saved in your Google Drive. Every Google account holder has a drive, meaning that every time you store documents, those documents are going to be saved to the cloud. And so it will live there forever. What is so special about the cloud? The cloud is basically just the name that companies have for where their files are stored. Before their cloud was ever invented, where did we store, or do we store a lot of our information? We store it on our computer's hard drive. Well, an alternative to storing your documents on a computer's hard drive is to have it on the cloud. What's the benefit of having your information on the cloud? The benefit is if something ever happens to your computer, you don't lose your information because it's actually stored on Google's cloud with Google. So you do not need your physical computer to access any of your documents. And so if you've never done so before, I would highly recommend, if you've got some really important documents that you need to save, and the only place that you have those documents is on your physical computer, make sure you have that information backed up to some form of cloud storage. A lot of companies like Apple, Google, Microsoft will allow you to have some storage for free. Google gives you a lot of storage. I can't remember off the top of my head how much it is, but you have plenty of storage until they ask you to pay for additional storage. But this is a good place to just have documents stored away. It's the same thing with photographs. If you've got really, really important photos that you never want to lose, Google Photos is a good place to store photographs that you also don't want to lose. It's also safe and secured. iCloud storage is encrypted, and so you don't ever have to worry about your data being compromised and someone stealing your information. So I highly recommend that, because I know we've all been there, right? In a situation where your computer breaks down and there's stuff on it that you need. If you have your information stored on the cloud, you will always have a way of accessing your information. Okay, so what we're going to do now is this what I'm highlighting over right now is a picture of a cloud with a check mark. When you see that, that lets you know that your document is saved. So the next thing we're going to do, the almost last thing we're going to do is now I'm going to send this document. So I'm going to show you how to send it to people. Okay. So now I'm moving my cursor over to the share. And right now it says that this document is only being shared private to me. So I'm going to change that. So I'm going to highlight. Actually, I'm going to click on share. And now I'm going to add people who I want to share this document with. Because I have a Google account, everybody who's in my Google contacts, which tip, if you don't have any of your contacts loaded in your Google contacts, load them, because then when you go to share documents, they'll already be loaded. So I'm actually, this is my personal Gmail. I'm going to send this to my business account. And so I started to type my name, Erica, and look, I already showed up in the drop-down menu. And so I'm sending it to myself. And so I'm the only person I'm going to send this document to. And then I'm also giving myself editor permissions, okay? If you don't want the person that you're sending the document to manipulate your document, make sure you hit viewer. That means that they can only view your document. But if you want them to comment, maybe you want them to make suggestions, but you don't want them to edit, you can make them a commenter. So now they're going to give you advice or make comments on the document that they're reading. But if you want to collaborate with them and you want them to actually be able to manipulate the document, make sure you give them editor rights as well. And so now I'm going to send this to myself. Hello, me. Here is our class document. Okay, so I put a little bit of message to myself. And then before I hit send, I'm going to show you something else that you can do. This icon here, if you ever see it, this is Google's icon for copy link. I could also left click and I can copy this link and I can take it to my email and paste it in my email. That's another way of sending this document. But what we're going to do is I'm just going to hit send here. Okay, I've sent it to myself. So let's log in to my other Gmail account. So we are going to log on to Gmail, and I'm going to go into my other account. And as you can see, Mission Africa class Google samples. So there it is. I'm going to open it and it says Erica Hunter shared a document. Okay, so and then it says last edited by Erica Hunter 44 seconds ago. I'm going to open this document. And now I am going to do one more thing to this document, which will complete our training. And I am, well, as far as manipulating the document goes, and I am going to put a watermark in this document because I want the person that I'm sending this to know that I sent it to them in draft form. And so since I have editor rights, I'm going to hit insert. And then I'm going to go down to watermark. And as you can see, it's got the watermark feature. I don't want an image. I'm going to hit text and I'm going to insert the text draft. Oops, I need to spell it right though. Draft. And then I'm going to, if you want to, you can mess with the transparency. Okay, but I want it really, really dark. So I've got it at 100% transparency. Okay, and then I've got it behind the text. You can put it in front of the text, but I'm going to put it behind the text. And then I'm going to lower my mouse down and I'm going to left click done. And now it's in draft form. So now I've received it and I know that it's a draft, but let's pretend like I made a bunch of edits to it and I'm going to remove it from draft form. So now, because I'm going to send it back to myself, I've made my edits. It's no longer a draft. So I'm going to go back to insert. I'm going to go to watermark. And I'm going to go all the way down and I'm going to say remove watermark. And then I'm going to hit done. Okay. Now I'm going to, there's a couple things I could do. I could send it back to myself. Okay, I can send it back to the person that I'm sharing it with, but check this out. Oh yes, go Margaret.
Where did you remove the watermark?
How did I remove the watermark?
Yes.
Yeah, let me go back. So insert, watermark, text. If the watermark were here, I'm going to take my cursor, I'm going to go all the way down to the page. And as you can see here, it says remove watermark. But because there's no watermark to remove, I can't click on it. Do you see it at the bottom right side of the page?
I have seen, thank you.
You see it?
Yes, I've seen.
Perfect. So I can insert the watermark and remove the watermark. Okay. So now let's pretend like I am in another office and I'm waiting for the person that I sent this to, even though in our instructions, I sent it to myself, but I am waiting to see what this person is doing with my document. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my original account, which is the account that created the document. Okay. And I am going to go down to my recent documents. Okay. And I'm going to, and I can see, can you see that the recent documents?
Yes.
Right now, 7-11. It's showing me that it was last open at 7:09. Okay. I'm going to open this document. And what do you see here? What you see is I sent it in draft form. Now the draft is gone. Okay. And so if I want to see what the person I sent it to did to my document, okay, I'm going to go to the top right-hand side of my document. I am going to click on this clock here. Before I click on it, I'm hovered over it and it says last edit was 3 minutes ago. When I open it, I can see that in my current version, okay, is 1709, okay? And since this document was created, there have been a total of 19 edits, okay? So can you see that on the top right-hand side? Yep.
Yeah.
And if I click the down menu, I can go in sequence and I can see everything that was done to this document. All the way up until the very last item. So this is how you can collaborate with others when it comes to documents. Now, I sent this to myself, so it says Erica Hunter everywhere. But if I would have sent this to a completely different person, the color would be different and the name would be different. So you can actually see everybody's changes independently of one another. Okay. And with that, that is your Google document class for the evening. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording for the purposes of the online class, and then we can chat.